I make videos about things, particular topics and subjects both relevant and specific to Warhammer gameplay, but not simply about Warhammer gameplay. This video is no different, except, of course, for the subject matter. First, however, indulge me in another episode of stating the obvious. I am fully aware of the personal difficulties all of us are confronting during these times. I do, sincerely, hope all of you and your loved ones are holding up well and are healthy as we all continue to navigate the real-life challenges before us. In that context, I understand this little video doesn't mean much, at least apart from whatever positive diversion it may provide for both I, as the creator, and you, as the viewer. However, in that same context, I, as are many of you, am currently stuck at home attempting to find outlets for my energies. I consider myself fortunate to have access to this particular outlet, the crafting of videos. It is truly in the spirit of shared compassion in the face of our current crisis I invest the time to share my outlet with all of you. Given that statement is true, it is also true in context of Warhammer Online Return of Reckoning. This production effort sadly does not constitute a creative process I can honestly state reflects much joy. Passion perhaps, but not the same joy evident in my two most recent video efforts. The Warfare in the Realm series videos entitled The Guild and Because Patch Notes were fun to create. I enjoyed sculpting and molding them and then subsequently publishing them for any and all to see. This effort, conversely, feels more like work. It is a video I feel needs to be done, as opposed to one created for the sheer fun of doing so. Therefore,
shall we begin?
In creating my first City Siege video, one initial point I repeatedly articulated expressed my desire the fighting inherent in city scenarios would be characterized by even fights. My desire was equitable and competitive fights constituting the norm, as opposed to the exception. I understand, clearly I understand, that as with any scenario played at any time, there always exists a possibility of one side or the other finding themselves outmatched for that particular scenario. However, I also understand that once you exclude those system outliers, the control group of played scenarios remaining does tend to reflect an inherent bias toward equality. There are many reasons one side or another may lose a scenario, very few of which actually serve to support any argument of inherent bias toward either of the forces participating. It appears, and I would stress the word appears, the city scenarios are a different story. Of course, that statement is open to debate, but I do not make it without the full intent of providing supporting video evidence. As much video as I could gather, to be precise. This first video segment was taken from my Twitch stream, broadcast and recorded perhaps a month ago. Because it is a recording of a recording, the quality suffers a bit. What it shows, however, is the opening stage of a fight in the inevitable city. In particular, those moments when we, as an Alliance warband, in organized groups, in Discord, with one leader who did balance the teams as precisely as he could, and subsequently called both maneuver and targets, were preparing to go fight. I opened the SC roster to see who we were up against. At this exact moment in the city scenario, I know we are boned. I know we are going to lose this instance. The only question being by what margin of ignominious defeat. Let's take a look. As you can see, it was decided we loop around through the slantish chamber of insidious delights and now meeting assembly area, use the portal, and then conduct a flanking maneuver. The entire subsequent fight takes, well, wait for it, 30 seconds. Now I know. It was all my fault for playing in two-hand spec. If only I had been using a shield, none of what you just saw would have happened. Well, at least that was the sentiment characterized by the overwhelming majority of the response I received to a short video recently crafted to be posted in a forum thread wherein the OP of that thread suggested creating a Pug City instance. Tell you what, I will come back to that later. From the same inevitable city fight, captured just prior to our final push during Stage 1, which, incidentally, we lost. You can see the discrepancy in kill totals. From that same inevitable city fight captured at the end of Stage 2. Again, note the discrepancy in the numbers. The fact we managed to rack up 60 kills on our own was, I thought, no small accomplishment. I didn't bother to record Stage 3. A few days later, we found ourselves in another IC instance. Here is a scoreboard following Stage 1 of that fight. Here is a scoreboard from near the end of Stage 2. And here is a scoreboard capture from the end of Stage 3. Note we did finally manage, as a 24-man organized warband in Discord, running balanced group with one leader dictating maneuvers and calling targets. In other words, all the magic bullets necessary to, not be criticized for even playing the scenario. We did manage to rack up one kill. Just to illustrate a related point, I pulled this frame from that Stage 3 fight. Please note some of the players involved. Not exactly the worst of the worst here. You've got some players in here who've been at this game for a long time, myself included. But before I get back to presenting more video evidence to help me construct and make my point, a quick aside. I woke up this morning and in running a few websites, opened up my Discord and saw that there were a lot of people on, which meant only one thing. There was a city instance occurring. Well, I was too late to get in. It was already in Stage 3 when I checked in with the group to see what was going on. But I listened for a little bit, and one of the people in Discord, one of the members of Salt Factory, made the comment, and I quote, "We're doing better, guys." But when I heard that comment, I immediately knew what it meant. They were getting their butts kicked once again. And here is a screenshot of the end of that particular city siege. So, as I'm going to continue to show here for just a few more minutes, this is a regularly occurring event. One which cannot be explained away by puerile excuses, one guy didn't do this or one guy didn't do that. There is a systemic issue inherent here. But before I continue along that path, there is another point I wish to make. Or perhaps I should say, make yet again. For those aware of my series of videos crafted as scenario guides, you may also be aware of my comments made during the introduction to Episode 1 concerning Nordenwatch. I made the effort there to articulate my understanding of my place in the hierarchy of Return of Reckoning. Perhaps it is appropriate to state that again. So, from my video published on April 8th of 2018. Now, I suppose I should take a moment and say that by no means do I believe myself, the ultimate arbiter of information when it comes to Warhammer. I'm just a guy who loves the game. And that's the spirit that I'm undertaking this project with, in the hopes that those who watch may find something useful, and if you do, the videos will have served their purpose. Again, I included that bit for informative context, to illustrate my philosophy governing the creation of these videos. Even this one. I am just a guy who loves this game and wants to see it survive. However, as I have stated on multiple occasions prior, if anyone is looking for the most effective means to destroy the population of any MMO game, game imbalance is it. Even the appearance of game imbalance will do the trick, if the issue is simply dismissed out of hand with a few insults thrown in for good measure.
Last week I called you a whore. I might have been overstating the case a little bit.
Anyone who believes I'm the only one talking about this needs to think again, or just look around the forums. However, a few more examples of the apparent routine in city sieges. Here we managed to get 4 kills, so I guess we are pushing that equality envelope. Here's another final scoreboard grab of a recent Guild City fight, this from just a few days ago. This from another recent Alliance Warband fight. This from an outdoor city defense recorded on April 7th. and from yet another inevitable city fight recorded on April 4th. I have more, but in the interest of time, I will move on to the primary issue. Referring back to the short video I posted on April 2nd in regard to the suggestion for creating a City Pug instance, this is a portion of one of the responses I received. First, there is no excitement derived or even associated with watching the other team collect prizes. That is kind of the point here, that the expected excitement should be derived from playing the game with a reasonable expectation of equitable opportunity, as opposed to having absolutely no chance and then subsequently having to endure the inevitable and contentious attempts by some to gloat, pontificate, and rub someone else's nose in the fact they were defeated, or simply dismissing a sizable percentage of the server population as meat, or that the only challenge in the game which matters is attempting to figure out how to defeat a particular metagroup when there are so many variables which factor into that equation to hold the view the only reason anyone ever fails at doing so is because they suck, or they are stupid. That is not only arrogant and self-important, it is laughable. You guys have to understand something here. Recent events in my life have served to teach me a lesson, one concerning perspective. And it is a perspective earned at a very high price. This is a game, and games are meant to be enjoyed. If people can't play this game and enjoy it, they will leave. That is a truth we all should have learned from Age of Reckoning. But in context of the discussion so far, let me ask you all a question. Which do you believe to be more probable? That the devs have carefully and meticulously created a challenge puzzle intricately woven into the fabric of the city siege just for the effort of Order players to solve, or that over time a destruction bias has crept into the game?
Doctor, are you familiar with the scientific precept known as Occam's razor?
It means that all things being equal, the simplest explanation tends to be the right one.
Exactly.
If I'm going to be savage for even asking that question, first allow me to provide proper context. I am not trying to suggest an image of the developers sitting at their computers with sneers and evil grins on their faces, pondering the issue of how they can screw over Order players today. I do not believe that to be true, and I never have. I understand, and again always have, that those who run this server are doing so on their own dime. For that, I've always been appreciative. What I am suggesting is a Warhammer version of mission creep, that given the number of people who have been involved with this project over time, combined with the fact that devs here have real lives, and of course their efforts here are often overshadowed by more important concerns, a bias has crept in by default, one which has resulted in an unplanned consequence. I understand the nature of one argument being made in response to this issue, that playing in the city instance is different than playing in the lakes. Yet given both the maps and the mechanics of the city siege are as they were on live, that difference is expressed in two forms. Players are limited to 24 people per side. The player classes are not constructed the same as they were on live. Now, in the midst of those who are bound to call me all sorts of insulting names for even making this video, take a moment to answer. Is the previous statement true or false? Are the character classes here constructed exactly as they were on live? In playing a game, any game, my overriding concern is to enjoy the experience. You want to see me enjoying playing this game? Watch the aforementioned video, We Who Are About to Die, link provided below. It is one of the best solo roaming videos I ever made. Or just watch this. This is me enjoying playing Warhammer Online Return of Reckoning. And this is me trying to accommodate the meta. I don't mind doing it, but it isn't nearly as much fun. My sense of self-worth isn't dependent on how well or poorly I do in this game. However, I do love and appreciate this game. My desire here is as stated prior, that the city sieges be characterized by even, equitable fights, and for as much of the current player base to remain with the game as possible. That's it. Thanks for watching.
It's a stupid idea! You're a stupid man! A stupid, stupid man!
Ow! You're hurting me! Stop it! Stop it, Lois!
No! I'm so sick of your crap! Why do you always do these stupid things? And why do you always announce them to me before you do them? Are you trying to get around